Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and not along with me, as always, is our, let's say, vacationing vixen of velocity, Bethany McChesney. But instead, I have really, really good backup and really excited to have the owner of the first ever Canadian Deka affiliate, Jess, and I don't even know your last name, Jess. I've forgotten. Thomas. Well, see, that's impossible to remember and pronounce. I couldn't possibly be expected to do that. How are you doing? You must be very excited.
I am very excited. There's been a lot of excitement over the last few days and in the weeks building up to this, and it's nice to just say it's official and get planning. Yeah.
So before we go into too much Deka talk, and there'll be a lot, first thing want to do is just get a little background of your gym, and because your gym is Farmgirl Fitness. By the way, it's not just for women. I've been there. It's a good gym. Yeah. So how did you start with Farmgirl? Because it's kind of an interesting story. You're not your typical gym in like a strip plaza little, or a box in a storage unit or anything like that. You really are the farm girls.
Yeah, that's right. So Farmgirl Fitness, as you said, yes, it is for everyone. The Farm Girl and Farmgirl Fitness is me, I always say. And so everyone is always welcome here. We got our start in June of 2020. And it was actually the pandemic that was kind of a catalyst for this business starting. I was working for a very large fitness company for, at the time, 13 years. And I was laid off as an instructor and trainer like everybody else was, and, thought I was going back to work in a few months. And in the meantime, needed to, keep myself busy and keep, my community moving as well. So I started running some online classes. The weather was getting nicer. I said to a friend of mine, I said, you know what, I think I'm going to run some boot camps in parks once the parks reopen. If everyone remembers, they even closed parks back then. And she said, why are you waiting for parks to reopen? She says, look around, you live in a park. Why not have everybody come here? So our location is our family farm. It's my parents' farm. They purchased it about 15 years ago. I moved here with my husband about 13 years ago. And we originally were a horse breeding and training farm. With 88 acres. And over the years, my family's still in the horse business, but we don't have horses here anymore. And it was actually my dad who said, you know what? Yeah, use the property. Let's have some people here. We've got any amount of space, and let's just get some people moving. So we started running boot camps. It took off really well. Gyms were still closed a lot of the time. And we were able to weather the storm of further gym closures because of having the outdoor capability. We even had a location here on the farm that allowed us to work out in the winter. So when gyms were shut down again in the winter of 2021, we kept training outside. Our cold weather limit is -15. We're hardcore, but we're not hardcore past -15 Celsius. But again, that kept everybody moving. And most importantly, it kept everybody mentally well and strong. And so many people said that to us over these last 2 years, that they realized how much they needed that. So that became our focus. And we realized we had something special here, something unique. So I officially resigned from my previous job, and we decided to invest in the farm. We took half of our barn and we've converted it into 2 indoor studios, one of which is a boxing personal training studio. Another one's about 1,500 square feet. And that second studio is where we will be running Deka events. So I'm really glad that we invested in that space, because that has allowed us now to get exciting things like this lined up. So it's been a wild, 2+ years. And when I started, I never in a million years thought I started a business without realizing I was starting a business, to be honest. But we're here, and now we have 5 different coaches working for us. Exciting things on the horizon. So it's been, COVID in a way was a good thing for us.
It's got to benefit somebody. But you said, and I watched a live video you recently done, and you said that you have and like I said, we're gonna get to that Deka stuff, but you've had like a competitive nature about you, and you've not really been able to compete,
Yes.
and that's one of the things that drew you to this. So give me a little background on what you mean by that.
So I've played sports since the time I was a kid, and I attribute my competitive nature to my dad. Because from the time I was little, my dad would make sure that I stood up for myself on the basketball court or whatever it was. He made sure that I knew how to take a hit and how to give one. He just always was super supportive of me in my love of sports growing up through school. So I've always loved playing sports and that competitive nature. I've always felt myself to be like that kind of team leader, that kind of captain. I love helping other people to stay motivated and stay powerful that way. So I've always really resonated with sport. However, along the years, I have had multiple back injuries. I've had herniated discs and things that have literally left me so that I can't walk when they flare up really bad. So there's been certain events, sporting events, certain things, fitness competitions and things that I've witnessed over the years where I like the idea of that competition, but I know realistically that if I was to participate in some of those movements that I observed, I knew that it wasn't good for me and my body. And I also know I get caught up in the fever of those things. So I've kept myself separate from some of those types of events over the years. And yeah, learn to try to listen to my body a little bit better and take care of it a little bit better and help other people to do the same.
I mean, I'm going to put words in your mouth because I don't know if you can say it or not, but like I'm very similar to the point where I look at stuff like CrossFit and I love it.
I wasn't going to say it.
I know, but it's okay. You can say it. It doesn't matter but like, I love it. I love watching it. I participate in certain parts of it, but there are things about it that I do not like and that keep me away from it.
Yes.
And genuinely, generally, whatever. Anyway, it's usually the Olympic style lifting at pace or the extremely heavy deadlifts at pace and things like that. That to me, I think, for some people is safe because they are at such a high level, but there are so many people who I think are not at a high enough level that are doing that too quickly and too soon. And that's what steers me away from it. That was always my big fear about it. And to this day, I'll watch it on TV. I have favorite CrossFit athletes. I am totally into it, but I will not do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
That's been the same for me too over the years. And again, if somebody can do that for a good chunk of their life and not have an injury, kudos, amazing. I feel like there's a lot of people who love the idea of competitive type things, but there's not a lot of things for them to choose from. So maybe they're not a sports person. Maybe they're not a team sports person, or they never grew up that way. Let's face it, like if you're not into that kind of thing when you're younger, it's very rare to be a 30, 40, 50-year-old and like take up basketball or volleyball or something, right? Like these kinds of things, it's not necessarily going to happen. Then, there's things like running races. Well, I did a half marathon. I hated every minute of it. I will never do it again. I have done some triathlons. I enjoyed that a little bit more. My strength was on the bike, but again, the running is still there. And then, if it's not that kind of a test or kind of a race or a competition, I find the next thing people are jumping into is bodybuilding competitions. And again, they're using it as a goal. They're using it as a way to train, but you and I both know that's not necessarily functional. And I think you and I both know a lot of people who have maybe done that, and it ended up creating some unhealthy habits in the end, right? So I have a very strong love and appeal to anything that can help people to train in a realistic way, help them to train in a way that works for them and their body, but creates those healthy habits that can last. Done, but something that keeps people training for life.
I bang on. Like, honestly, I couldn't agree more, because, and especially with the bodybuilding and all that stuff too, just kudos to the people that do it. Super fit, super dedicated, incredible athletes. Like, Can't say enough, but yeah, I don't think it's a very healthy lifestyle choice. And I don't, again, not just from a physical health stand, but from a mental health stand. It's scary. It's very sketchy slope, and will not. There's a lot of people who cannot stand on that slope. It's okay. Get her.
Definitely. Yeah. It's all good.
But yeah, is that Sandy?
That's Sandy.
All right, get her in. Hey, get in there.
Come. We're both super sweaty because we both just wrapped up classes all evening. So
just finished obstacle training.
I said to Dave, if there's ever a podcast to be on where you can be sweaty and you know protein bar crumbs on your face, like it's it. So it's okay.
Half the time we're drunk.
And again, big thank you, Dave. A big thank you, Dave. I want to give credit where credit is due. You got this started for me by setting up that meeting with Yancey. You knew how much I wanted this. You helped me get that contact. I'm giving credit where credit is due, buddy. You were there for me. Thank you so much for that support.
It's no problem, and I'll take any credit I don't deserve too. That's what I do. So you know what? Since we'll bring to that, and the one thing we haven't done yet, and actually is 90% of the people who listen to this already know what Deka is. We talk about it all the time, but a lot of possibly your clientele or people who are new to this don't know what Deka is, and I'll break it down for you simply. So Deka is like you hear stuff like, and you mentioned the decathlon of athletics or whatever. I don't know. That's catchphrase shit. That's for Yancey. So I just tell you what it is. Generally, what you have 10 stations, and it's essentially a timed workout. And there's 3 different distances. There's Deka Strong, where there's no running, Deka Mile, where there's 160 meters between each station, and then Deka Fit, where there is 500 meters between each station. Generally, at an affiliate like yours, you're going to see a Deka Strong or a Deka Mile. Stations start out, you're going to do reverse lunges with a ram burpee. Ram burpee is just essentially a rubber cylinder, depending on whether you're male or female. I think the men's they use is 55 pounds. The women's, I think, is 45, 44. 33, my bad, 33. You're going to do 30 reverse lunges. After that, you're going to go over and you're going to do 500 meters on a rowing machine. Let's just say for most people, that's going to be somewhere between 1:40 to 2.5 minutes, depending on your level, give or take. Then you're going to do 25, is it 20 or 25 box step overs on a 24-inch box, 20-inch box. 20 step overs. See, I get help all the time. She sits there. 20 step overs on a 24-inch box. And you can step, you can jump, you can go over it any way you want as long as you're just using your feet. After that, you're going to do 25 med ball sit-ups, which is essentially just a butterfly sit-up. Put the med ball behind your head, sit up, put the med ball between your feet. 500 meters on a ski erg. That's like a cross-country ski machine. Again, should take similar time to the rower. Then, I mean, this should be right up your guys' alley. It's a 100-meter farmer carry, right? Farmer carry, you guys should be great at that, nice and easy. I believe it's 50 pounds in each hand, no, 60 pounds for the men, 40 for the women. Then this is the station that usually blows people up. After that is the assault bike. And you're doing 25 calories on the assault bike. Work into it. Don't blow yourself up on that one. Then after that, you will have the dead balls over the shoulder. I believe 60 for the men, 40 for the women. Then the tank pull for 100 meters. That thing's a lot of fun. And then you finish up with 25 ram burpees. So essentially a burpee with that same rubber cylinder to the ground and up over your head. That is essentially Deka Fit. And like I said, 160 meters between each one for the mile, 500 for Deka Fit, none for the strong. So if you like to race and not run, the Deka Strong is totally for you. You can get competitive and you're just, anyway, you're competing against you, really. So for you guys, like I said, that's the layout of Deka Fit. And now Sandy's gone. I kind of was hoping she would stay, but what was kind of the driving force really behind you guys getting this started? Why did you take this on and, become the first one guys to do it in Canada?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of layers to that answer, and it's kind of been our story since we started, which is just like, the idea of pivoting and evolving and growing, and that's us. So I met Sandy in the summer of 2020, and she was a participant here. I didn't know her from before, even though we lived in the same town. She trained at a different gym than I trained at, but she was just coming here and she was loving it. And she was like, you know what? I'm certified. Like, if you need help, let me know. And I was like, you know what? I love you. Great. Love the energy, but I can't afford to pay anybody right now. It was so early on. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do that too. They hold their money like extra tight and think they can never, hire anybody. And then it was the winter of 2021 when we had the shutdown and were forced to do the winter training for the first time. That was really the catalyst to get Sandy in here as a coach, because not only were gyms shut down, but I think it was February of 2021, the government said we could not have groups of 5 people or more outside. So that meant my group of 16 people that I would train outdoors and -10, I now had to split that group up into only groups of 4, which meant I was now teaching outdoors in negative temperatures for 4 hours in what used to take me an hour. Looking back, I still say that was one of the hardest times of the last couple of years. And Sandy said, you know what? You can't keep doing this. I'll teach for free. Just give me class credits. Let me help you out. And I'm like, okay, crazy person. Sure, whatever. And you know what? It was great for her. It was great for me. It allowed me to kind of mentor her and, see what she could offer, and for her to help me as well. Sandy then, as the months went on, started, and the summer came, she said, I had this great idea about obstacle course training here at the farm. So again, we have 88 acres. We've got hay bales, we've got sandbags, we've got all kinds of stuff that we can use to train with. And we were using a lot of that stuff because, to be honest, it was affordable. I used sandbags and wood weights and all that kind of stuff before I ever bought dumbbells, because I had it here. Sandy said, I have this idea. I think we can train people to do some of these races, because she had a passion for it. And she had learned a lot of that from you. And she said, I think there's a market for it here. Needless to say, there was further shutdowns throughout the spring and summer of 2021. So we delayed our plans a little bit, but we got that ball rolling in the fall of 2021. And through that kind of exposure and getting more into that side, in particular of the Spartan world, Sandy said, I've heard about this thing called Deka. I think it would be just a great fit for what we have to offer. And the more she explained it, the more it really seemed to make sense, not only because we had the obstacle training programs in place already, but because it was really kind of a missing piece in the middle. We saw it as something that was doable for our atypical member. And it was something that would be a good fit to kind of encourage people to consider obstacle course racing. So to give people perspective, our atypical member is typically a woman, probably average age here, maybe late 30s to early 40s. We have a lot of people that are beginners. We have a lot of people that are experienced and stuff too, but our whole thing is we just want people to feel safe and comfortable. So if you look up more info about us, our whole thing is, there's no scales here. There's no mirrors. We're not selling you weight loss programs. We're trying to derail that typical gym mentality that has existed for the last however many years. And we just want people to feel safe and comfortable and strong. And that's, again, where some of the workouts came from. Functional fitness. I was baling hay with my dad one day and I was like, damn, this needs to be a workout class, because I'm wrecked by the time I'm done. And we created a class with hay bales. So it goes in line, that idea of functional fitness, moving to live, moving in such a way where, yes, I want to do this for the rest of my life. It just perfectly fit with our core values, with our typical member. And yeah, as we started having those conversations and seeing what was possible, it wasn't here in Canada yet, but that opportunity was open and we thought this was the time to jump on it.
Absolutely. And so what you say about it being a thing where, kind of for everybody and for your gym members. And when Sandy and I talked to me about it as well, I actually thought it was a great idea because of having been to your gym, having seen your members, having talked with them, that, and I don't actually think it's typical. I don't think it's what's exclusive to your gym. I think it's very common throughout gyms around that there are a lot of people who are, I don't want to say afraid, but they're intimidated by some of these competitions because they're intimidating, right? They're scary. You know, if you haven't done anything like an OCR, if you haven't done anything like, and I mean, we do another competition called RX1. If you haven't done anything like it, it can be scary, no matter how much they say they've scaled it down or whatever the case may be. That was the thing with Deka that always, and I mean, a lot of people who are hired, who are more competitive in the beginning when they saw the workout or the workout that Deka was and the movements they picked were kind of like, you know, well, the weight's not heavy enough for us or this or that. And we found out that that's not the case now, because you're just getting people going ridiculously fast at that high end, which is great and makes for very exciting competition. But a little story to kind of make my point here is my wife and I went down to New York to do a Deka Strong. We had never done one. We really wanted to, so we make the trip, which is obviously very common for us. We go all over the place doing weird crap. And we did our Deka Strong there and had a great time. And there were people that were, you know, fairly competitive, pretty high end. And I don't want to say this woman wasn't competitive, but she was 71. And she was killing it. She was doing great. I mean, she was moving at her pace. She was doing her thing. And she got through it. And I mean, to be honest, I think she was about 29 minutes, which is a half an hour, 29 minutes. And at the end, she was exhausted. But she was still going, and then got up afterwards and volunteered for the rest of the day, cheering everybody on. So, I mean, that was the kind of thing that made it really hit home to me again. It was like our first days of obstacle course racing where everybody was pulling for each other. Everybody was, you know, that I hadn't been in a while, hadn't been part of that open wave thing where everybody was so good to each other and just helping each other. That was the kind of thing that it brought out in that gym, was everybody was cheering for each other. I was seeing people finish and like in tears because they had never done anything like that before in their life, and they've actually competed at something. They got a medal, they got a t-shirt, they were excited. It was great. And that, to me, I thought of a lot of your members that I had met specifically going, this person would love this. They would have a great time, and they would turn themselves inside out doing the best they could. And then they'd have, and again, I find that some of the buzzwords are a little cheesy, but they'd have their Deka mark. But essentially, it's just a benchmark, like a benchmark workout. And then they can go back the next time and train for it and see how they improve. And it's the kind of thing you can keep doing as you get older, because it's so low impact. It's so, you know, I'll give him credit. He picked good movements for it. You know?
Yeah. And for us, again, because we're trying to help, like, I swear when you're a trainer, you're kind of half psychologist sometimes with people, you know, the stories you hear with people when they come in. Fitness is a vulnerable thing for a lot of people. If I had $1 for every person that I have like cried with, fitness brings out a lot of emotion. Every single race I've ever completed, every major training I've ever done, I often cry at the end. I'm not in pain, but it's this weird, you know, release of emotion. It's an emotional thing. It's a scary thing for some people, right? And for me, my kind of training style for years has been, let's see what you can do. So if your waist is smaller than it was before, but you can't bend over and pick up your child, do you really care? Like, you know, and again, we're trying to break this whole thing of the atypical, you know, mentality that's still in our world. You know, I'll say to people, okay, so you gain weight, but your pants are looser. Is that, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so chuck the scale then. Like, why are you still using this thing as your thing to tell you today whether or not you're a good person and have done a good job? And so for a lot of the training programs I run, you know, people will say, can you take my measurements? Can we do weigh-ins? Can we do stuff? And I'm like, no, we can't, because you're going to have a day when that doesn't go the way you think it should. And you're going to poo-poo on all of your hard work because that doesn't match in your mind. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to mark down how many reps you did of this, how much weight you lifted here. We're going to mark this down. And in 6 weeks, we're going to measure it again. And that's the stuff, like I tell everybody, like that's literally the best part of my job, because it's not only seeing a happy moment in someone, it's seeing the light bulb go off in their head, where they perhaps for the first time, perhaps in their life, realize that they are worth more than their pant size, that they are worth more than how they look, that they are in total control of their success. And that's for me the ultimate goal. Is I want people to feel in a way like you don't need me. Like if I feel like if I do my job as a trainer, it's like you should feel so educated and informed and confident that you could continue without me and be just fine. And it's when people see the change that happens, and literally it's like their face changes, and I just say, now you know. Now you know. You never get to give me an excuse ever again. You never get to say I can't. Like you just, that's taken away, because you've just proven that 6 weeks of work. And I'm talking about things where people are training twice a week, not like 6-7 times a week. I'm talking with programs where people 2 times a week for an hour, and they are just changing things, right? So when I heard about this idea of the Deka mark and saw the functionality of the fitness, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need more of, because I've got people of every shape, size, age, injury level, whatever. If somebody can come away and say, you know what, I did better than before, I'm moving in the right direction, I'm doing the right things, that's the best moment. And that's how I knew that would align with us and what we're doing here so well. Because it's not just me that feels that way, it's my coaches as well. People like Sandy and all the other girls we have working here. It's a core value that we've instilled in our members. They know that they're not allowed to say I can't, like a rule here. You just can't say it. I say, say I can't do this, comma, yet. Like you're not allowed to just finish with I can't. We're building that kind of culture. And I think events like this are going to help to stimulate that within the industry as a whole, so that people view this stuff, not just, oh, that's what elite athletes do. No, this is what everybody can do.
And we've been really big on that yet all the time as well. It's like, oh, I can't do that yet. It'll always yet.
Definitely.
Yeah. So some of the questions I think people will have about it is, and we'll get to the fun one after, is essentially, well, first we'll get some technical stuff, and you might not even know this. What does it cost to do an event? Do you have any idea? Do you know yet? No clue. I didn't think so.
To be honest, we don't know yet. We don't know yet because, and part of that is all getting sorted out. We're dealing with if we're charging people in Canadian or US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know yet. So hang tight for that. That'll all, once that's all set, all that info will be obvious on the website. But I should know more even in a couple of weeks. We'll have a better idea.
Yeah. And then again, the other big question that people will ask right away is, when can I sign up, and when can I do my event? Because I'm ready to go. I'm good to go. No, I'm free tomorrow.
Trust me. Me too. I'm ready to go too. We're working that out. We expect to have some dates set also within the next couple of weeks. We really want to take advantage of just the nicer weather, getting people outside, not for the event per se. So we do foresee that, just to make sure, we don't have those weather issues. We do foresee that our Deka events will be inside our studio. We have what's called a fresh air studio. So big barn doors open, windows, which is just a great feel for training. But we would like to run it at least perhaps 2 events before the snow flies, to make it just easier for people, especially if people are coming from a distance. We don't really want to have the winter kind of be an excuse or get in the way of that for our first few events, but we do expect to have some ideas within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
That's good. And the big thing we have to tell people, or I have to tell people, is that this is something, Bethany and I have gone on for a while, and we've been pushing for Yancey to get Deka up here and also get more events up here. And this applies to OCR as well as this with the Deka is we need to freaking support people who do this and help and sign up and make it go and sign up early so that they know the event's going to go off. Okay. So when they do start taking registrations, jump on, get in it. Otherwise, people don't take, they don't sign up and they don't take chances like Jess has done in setting this up. And they're putting it out there for us. And if we don't jump on it, then we won't have stuff like this. So we always say support and stuff like that. And obviously we will be there. I'm going to drag everybody I can there, and we'll be volunteering and doing all sorts of stuff like that. And hopefully during your first Deka, I will be able to scream at people as they go and count reps and do whatever and help out as we can. Because, well, I just enjoy that anyway.
Yeah. That being said, that is one of the things that we know we will need help with is having volunteers for the event. We know that one of the things we'll be able to offer volunteers is a discount code so that they can do their Deka mark for free. So that much I know I can tell you there. Deka volunteers do not have to be Deka certified in anything. You have to be someone who's just, willing to not just count reps, but also be a motivator. If you've ever done, any event, whether it's OCR or whatever, and you've had somebody along the way just give you like an attaboy and like tell you to keep going and not give up, how just incredibly helpful that can be. So I know Deka, that's one of the things they encourage us to look for in volunteers is somebody who's willing to be a motivator and a supporter. Deka helps us and helps you to know exactly what you would be looking for. So it's not like you'd be coming in blind. You would be educated before the event on exactly what you would be counting and what a quality rep or movement would look like. But we know that for sure what we can offer back as of right now as a bare minimum is your ability to participate for free. So most likely for our first event, we'd be looking for at least 8 to 10 volunteers. And it's just going to be a fun day. I was saying to you, Dave, earlier, our goal is to make this a type of event that we can do regularly and where we can really create a community of people. So, we want to have a nice bonfire for everybody when we're done. We want to have that kind of feel where you can stay, meet people, chat afterwards, and maybe find some training partners in the mix. But, we're not necessarily the biggest Deka event in the world, but you're going to come away having a great time and meeting some great people.
Yeah, I guarantee that. And quite frankly, I'm all down for a bonfire and some non-alcoholic beer because, you got to drive out. Always get the non. It's not funny. It works. It's good stuff. I love it. Drink it all the time. And my wife is smiling at me right now saying, well, you get 2 volunteers already, so you're good to go there. And we're really good. So this is pretty much like 4.
Perfect.
I mean, really, realistically, like 4 volunteers and 2. So
I'll take it.
My question is, are you going to be the first one to go through to get yours? Are you going to be the first one to do it?
Pressure. I feel like Sandy needs to be the first one because I feel like it's almost more her baby than mine. I will definitely be one of the first ones. I'm watching something with my back right now, but I expect that to be better by the fall when we would be running it anyway. So as long as my body is not giving me any signals to slow down, I will definitely be, if not the first, maybe the second to go.
And I mean, Sandy gave me a lot of credit earlier, but in reality, I just pointed some stuff out. She pushed like mad to get this done. And she really deserves, you and her deserve the credit. And I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. Is there anything else you want to say, especially to your clientele about trying it? Because it's your clientele who's going to be the basis for this. And we'll do what we can to drive people to pull up there. But your clientele, is there anything you want to tell them about this that they should know? They know what the event is. They'll understand how it works.
I would say if you find yourself intrigued but nervous and doubting, use as a point of reference what you've already accomplished. So if you're someone who has either been coming here or following us and you've made changes over the last year or 2 or 6 months or 6 weeks, if you've seen yourself go from point A to point B, that's proof that you can do it right there. That's automatic proof. You have the ability to make small changes consistently to make a very big impact. And we talk about that all the time here, that it doesn't have to be 3-hour workouts and incredibly heavy this or that. It's just about consistency. So to anyone who's already been here and is a member, and I know so many of you have seen that progress and that change, let that be your reminder of what's possible and what's yet to come. If anybody's listening to this who hasn't, perhaps, maybe doesn't have that point of reference in their life yet, what I would say is surround yourself with people who do. And I say this all the time, you know, I know it seems easy for people like me and Sandy and our other coaches, that we're just like these bright, shiny, happy people with nothing but positivity and motivation all the time. Newsflash, we are not. We have days where we are exhausted like you are. We have days where there is so many problems or things going on in our life that it can make it hard to get out of bed sometimes. But I always tell people, those are the days that I surround myself with the people that I want to be like. And we have this huge advantage here in that we have a whole community of people, our studio, our club, that has people like that. If you're with those people, feed off their energy, feed off of their education and their knowledge. And it is, I would dare to say, it's near impossible to not be affected by that. You can't be in a room with people like that and not feel motivated, not feel capable, not feel like you're ready to go. So just because you haven't done something big like this yet, doesn't mean that you can't. Your age, it's just a number. We're not asking anybody to do something that they can't or don't want to do. We're asking you to try, and we're asking you to see what's possible for yourself. Because if you get on that, if you start that ball rolling, motivation now is not a struggle. It just keeps coming, you know, and the key is just getting it started. So to anyone listening, you know, whether you're new, whether you've been doing it a long time, we'd love to have you here, because there's nothing better in my life than getting a front row seat to watching people's success.
That's bang on. I think that's great. And that's a great way to wrap this up. Yes. Make sure you check out Deka Instagram page, Deka website, check out, and that'll give you a lot more motivation too. If you're hesitant or concerned, you'll see lots of videos of people doing it. They're Deka strong that had never thought they could do it before again. Never thought they could do it. Also check out Farmgirl Fitness. That's what the Instagram is. Farmgirl Fitness.
Yeah, so Instagram is farmgirlfitness.ca, and the website is actually the same thing. So if you can remember one, you can remember the other. Farmgirlfitness.ca, and we have a Facebook page as well. I have started a TikTok, but you know, we're working on it. But the best way to follow us for sure is through Instagram and Facebook, and our website. Get on our mailing list, and then we'll be able to let you know when we're launching.
There was one other thing I wanted to add on to yours. Even if you've never trained, you can walk off the street and do this. And this can be your door to get in. This can be your entry point. It can be something where you're ridiculously fit and you're competing at the highest level, or it can be your first day at the gym. You can walk in and get through this. You know, you're going to sweat, you're going to push hard, but yeah, you can get through it. It's not complicated. It's simplistic movements. It's just a matter of how quickly you do them is where you're at. And the people who are doing the pro wave, the Ryan Kents, the Tara Jacksons, they're doing the same workout you're doing. It's a great workout. It's a hard run, but anyone can do it. So it's really well set up. The other thing that I wanted to mention this earlier, because when you were talking about fitness is not linear. It's not always a straight line. You know, fitness and health is not always a straight line. You're going to go up, you're going to go down, you're going to have pits and falls and peaks. Don't get discouraged. To stay with it, keep going. Just because you had a bad day and you crushed an ice cream sandwich, it doesn't matter. Move on the next day and get back on the wagon. Same with your workouts. Oh, I skipped my workout today, or I didn't put it into it. That's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. You don't have to start from scratch again. You just go day to day and get back on it. Anyway, just thank you so much, everybody out there. Come to Deka. Oh, one thing, and I always forget to do this episode is brought to you by Duonamic door frame pull-up systems, which I always forget to mention, but they are fantastic. And we just gave one away to Mabel Lou, and we'll be doing another one next month as well. Thank you so much, Jess. Farmgirl Fit, Deka Fit. It's a perfect match. You guys are going to do awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.